thought it was just me.
Great. So, ladies and gentlemen, we look forward to an exciting discussion today. As I mentioned, our guest for today's session is Ms. Elcia Grandcourt. She is Director for the Africa Department of the UN World Tourism Organization, an organization that is based in Madrid, Spain, and with the purpose of promoting tourism as a driver of economic growth, inclusive development, and environmentally sustainable business, as well as offering leadership and support to the sector in advancing knowledge and tourism policies across the world. Ladies and gentlemen, as head of the Africa region, Elcia will shed some light on some of the developments of tourism across Africa, what her organization is doing to support and promote responsible and sustainable tourism across the continent. We will also look at competitiveness of the tourism industry, as well as the issues of connectivity of tourists across the continent. We will then also do a bit of projection into the future to look at post-COVID, what is the potential and what investments or resources we need to put in place so that we can take advantage of this industry when the right time is with us. And finally, we'll look at some collaborations that the UNWTO is doing with some regional organizations in the area of promoting tourism and international travel. So this is the lineup we have for you today. And over the next 1 hour, we are going to be delving into these issues. But as in previous cases of SkyConnect Dialogue, ladies and gentlemen, I invite all of you to actively participate in the discussions by sending us questions through the Q&A tab or sending us comments on the chat function. And at the appropriate time, I would visit those sites and then post your questions or read out your comments, and Ms. Elcia can further give insights to those if there's a need. So thank you very much, everyone, for coming. And Ms. Elcia, welcome to the program. Thank you for your time. So first of all, as most people might not be very familiar with who you are and what you do, what your organization does, if you can just in about a minute, just tell us briefly about yourself and UNWTO Regional Office for Africa. Thank you. I think you're still muted. Okay.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kuchi. Raphael, you're a good friend, and I wish to first of all start by saying a very big thank you and my sincere appreciation to also the Secretary General, Mr. Berthe, for inviting me, and especially UNWTO on this platform to share some of the initiatives that we have been doing, and also our work that we do in the Africa region. And allow me also to state here that this further reiterates the strong partnership that we have been building over the past years with Africa Airlines Association, as we all know as AFRAA. So thank you very much for this opportunity, and I'm also looking forward to this discussion. But briefly, as you have mentioned, as everybody will know, that the World Tourism Organization is actually a specialized agency of the United Nations, and we are responsible for promoting responsible, sustainable, and universally accessible tourism. And as the leading international organization in the field of tourism, of course, UNWTO promotes tourism as a driver of economic growth, as well as inclusive development, and also environmental sustainability, whilst at the same time, we offer leadership and support to the sector in advancing knowledge and tourism policies worldwide. I would just like to touch briefly on our core priorities and then go deeper into it as we go along the discussions, which is primarily to mainstream tourism in the global agenda by advocating the value of tourism as a driver of socioeconomic growth and development, improving tourism competitiveness that you say we're going to touch on, as well as promoting sustainable tourism development, which is key, especially at this moment in time. Also advancing tourism's contribution towards poverty reduction and development and meeting the targets of the SDGs, fostering education and capacity building as well, and building partnerships. This is a point also that is very key in this point in time. And if you allow me also, I said, you said keep it to 1 minute, but I cannot stop myself also to share that at the very beginning of his mandate, the Secretary General was tasked, actually, if I may put it this way, by the Ministers of Tourism of the Africa region that wanted him to present a strategic plan that address the issues that countries are being faced with, especially in developing the tourism sector. And therefore, we came up with this 10-point strategic agenda for Africa, tourism for inclusive growth. And now it represents the organization's roadmap and strategic framework, especially for the Africa department, as we bring the support to our members. And of course, this agenda, we were able to put it together by having several consultative discussions and meetings with our ministers of tourism from the region on several occasions, and we could meet with them. We started actually in 2018 in Fitur. Then we met again within the framework of ITB Berlin. And then eventually when we arrived in Abuja, Nigeria for our 61st Regional Commission, and this year, I must say, it's a meeting that is held annually every year, bringing ministers of tourism together. The ministers endorse this 10-point plan, priority areas that they themselves asked the Secretary General to put some focus on. And we went further. We went further to the decisive organs of the organization, which is the Executive Council body. They also endorse this 10-point plan agenda. And finally, at our 23rd session of the General Assembly in September 2019 in St. Petersburg, Russia, this was fully adopted. And that is why now we are working towards really implementing this 10-point plan agenda. I could go a little bit further, but I will let you prompt the discussion as we go further in regards to the key priority areas that we are working on around this 10-point plan agenda.
Okay, thank you very much for that brief introduction. That's very laudable. I see that a lot has already been done and cuts across not just Africa but across the world. We really appreciate for that. We hope to hear more about that as we go along. But if I may, just from the basis, it's often difficult to tell who a tourist is and who a tourist is not, particularly in our African context. I'm not too sure. Can you break it down for us? Who is a tourist? Basically, we all know tourists, but oftentimes we think it's a white person traveling from another region into Africa and going back who is a tourist. Can you tell us who a tourist in your organization definition is? Thank you.
Raphael, let me say that in a simple manner, we are all tourists at any given point in time in our lives, both yourself and myself. But however, if we refer to UNWTO's glossary of tourism terms, we define tourism as a social, cultural, and economic phenomenon which entails the movement of people to countries or places outside their usual environment, either for personal or business and professional purposes. So that's why I go back saying that at any one point in time, we've been or we are practicing tourism ourselves, even if we are in our own country, in our own destinations, because we often refer to people traveling as tourists as visitors. And as you know, this may be either tourist or even excursionist. It could be residents, as I mentioned, or non-residents. And then tourism has to do with the activities, and some of which, as you and me know, involve tourism expenditure. So again, I will go back to say that as long as we are moving out of our natural environment, we are already practicing tourism. And I think now, even if you say in the African context, maybe we don't look at it per se, but I think a lot of realization is happening now, because once the international markets, we've seen the restriction with travels, we've seen a stop on the international tourists coming to our shores. And now we are talking about domestic tourism. So there you go, we are already practicing it, we've been practicing it, but without taking that into context. But I think with this current situation that we are in, we are coming to a lot of realization that either ways we've been practicing tourism, but I would say more so in this time, a lot of realization is being done around this sector, because as you and myself, we know tourism is a cross-cutting sector. And now a lot of businesses that have been put on hold, they are making the realization, if they didn't before, that their business is also impacted by tourism. I think this is one of the key things that we're experiencing now. For those who thought that tourism was just having parties or visiting places, they realize, because the whole entire tourism value chain has been impacted, from the farmers delivering his goods to the hotel that are consumed by the tourist, from the lady selling her handicrafts by the road as well. So all of these actors in the tourism value chain are now feeling the impact when we've seen a drop in the movement of tourists, not only in our region, but globally.
So what would you then say is your organization doing to support such an important sector that touches even the lives of the poor farmer in the village, the ordinary trader on the roadside? What is Unwto doing to support and empower such people up the value chain?
You know, as I mentioned earlier, our work has been a lot focused on supporting our member states with technical support, and also to develop the tourism sector in a sustainable way. And a lot of emphasis in the work that we do have been placed on areas such as tourism statistics. We talk about tourism statistics and quality standards. Also human resources development. We also give support on public planning and economic development, product diversification, marketing, promotion, branding, and now more specifically, recovery strategy for the sector, especially with the COVID-19 situation. So for us to be able to translate all of these assistance to all the actors within this value chain, we've also had to relook at the support that we're giving our members. So last year, what we did was we launched a mini survey across to our member states to get a feeling of what are the key areas now that they want us to put some focus on, especially that we are going through this crisis, and also to help them better respond to today's realities, if we can put it this way. So amongst the results that we received from this survey, it pointed to 5 key areas of this 10-point plan agenda that I mentioned earlier. And here we're talking about unlocking growth through investment, promotion, and public-private partnerships. Also promoting innovation in technology, as well as promoting travel facilitation, connectivity, and visa issues related matters, fostering resilience, which is to do with safety and security and crisis communication in the tourism sector, and also advocating Brand Africa. So these are the core areas that members have asked us to put emphasis on. But of course, we know that at this moment in time, our key message has been for us to adhere to the different protocols that is there in regards to COVID-19 situation, to show each country, to show the world what they've been doing at a local level in order to help restore traveler confidence, because this is key at the moment, because we all know, you and me, even before we take a plane, we want to feel safe that the destination we are going, we know that the current situation we are living in probably will be with us for a while. This has been told by experts all around. We just have to try to manage and adapt with it. And it's by following these protocols and also showing what is being done. Again, I put emphasis here, is showing what is being done at various levels. It will help to restore the traveler confidence, which is one of the key messages that now we have been advocating also in order to help restart the tourism sector, so that those people that really depends on this sector within the entire tourism value chain can also get back to their business and be able to earn their livelihoods, if you want to put it this way.
So on this note, it would appear that last year, the tourism sector, like the air transport sector, took a huge hit and a setback because of the COVID-19. To what extent would you say COVID impacted tourism revenues and in particular jobs?
Rightly so, as you say, when we look at 2020, this for us has been the worst year in the history of tourism, because international tourism itself lost 1 billion travelers worldwide, taking values back, if you want to say, to levels of 30 years ago. And we saw a decrease of minus 73% in terms of arrivals. And according to our latest barometer, which is where we share all the different statistics, UNWTO registered an 83% fall in international tourism for Q1 of 2021 as compared to the year 2020. And you have figures there for Asia, Europe, but for Africa specifically, I can tell you it was minus 81%. And the crash in international tourism due to this current pandemic, our experts also have shown that it could cause a loss of more than 4 trillion of the global GDP for the years 2020 and 2021. And this is approximately up to $1.8 trillion loss expected in 2021. And the figures I'm quoting here is according to an UNCTAD report that was published in end of June. So you can see that globally, we've definitely been severely affected, as you yourself mentioned, including the airlines, because as you know, there is this symbiotic relationship between tourism and transport, and therefore the effects have snowballed, and we all experiencing it until today. But also our UNWTO confidence index is showing signs of slow recovery for the period May to August 2021, but uncertainty remains high due to the current, of course, the current situation in the surge. Especially now we hear a lot about the new variants that are happening across, and also the travel restrictions that are still in place. And also, sadly, very much so, there are still some uneven rollout of the vaccination programs. But if I can go a little bit further, I'm looking at our figures here of our panel of experts. They expect a return to 2019 levels in 2024 or even later. And this would be purely depending on how quickly, as I mentioned again, the vaccines are rolled out, how quickly we are able to reboost traveler confidence, and how the collaboration on travel and health protocols becomes effective. And the two scenarios that the experts have shared with us is that improvement in travel restrictions and consumer confidence in the current month that we are now shows a 63% as compared to 2019. But more so improvement in travel restrictions and consumer confidence in September, they see it to be at -75% compared to 2019. And as I mentioned again, these scenarios that has been studied can be justified in particularly through the progressive evolution that we see of the vaccine against COVID-19, as well as the easing of the travel restrictions. And also if we do observe a movement in traveler confidence, meaning that the visitors, the tourists feel safe to a degree to embark on a trip and visit our wonderful destinations in Africa.
So talking about easing of travel restrictions and travel recovery, you know, unfortunately, the tourists have been looked at as the vehicle for carrying and spreading virus around the world. How are we going to get this corrected? That it is not necessarily the case that tourists are the ones who are taking viruses around the world, especially in our African continent.
I think in the current moment, COVID-19 came at a time where no one expected that. We have been living with different situations, health situations, whereby we've been able to manage it by having the right protocols in place. And I believe as the authorities work very closely together and sensitize even furthermore on the importance of getting vaccinated, on practicing the social distances, on wearing the mask, then we could help also to break that transmission. Because we've seen in cases in the past where we've had different kinds of crises, different protocols have been put in place. It took a while, but this one, unfortunately, because of the various challenges we see that are associated with, and different regions are really handling it in a different levels, if you would say at one point in time. And that is why I said at the beginning, the uneven rollout of the vaccination programs and the different protocols. That's why we talk about the harmonization of having the harmonized protocols, be it within the tourism and travel sector. There needs to be this alignment in how we proceed in setting up these protocols so that everybody is au fait with it, and we can continue to promote our sector. Of course, I'm not the expert, health expert, to talk about how long this will go, but I think if we all play our part and keep emphasizing on the different protocols that are there, we will eventually be able to help break that transmission as well.
Thank you. As we all are very optimistic about a recovery, a fast recovery at that, let me now shift my focus a bit to competitiveness and sustainability of this industry. I think one of the challenges that the tourism and air transport sectors in particular will face post-COVID will be the industry's own competitiveness with regards to cost of travel, hotel accommodation, and the cost of accessing tourist sites. How do you think Africa can improve its competitiveness in these areas?
Raphael, we see that a lot of our destinations, in terms of the product offerings, we complement a lot each other. But in terms of really collaborating together, and if I would say cooperating rather than competing with each other, I think more and more the realization is coming to us that we should work together on how to strengthen the work that we do in each of the region and complement the product offerings that we have on offer. Today, we are talking about twin center destinations. If you access one country, you are easily able, with the travel facilitation, we can see big example in the Casa region, for example, where several countries have been able to at least advance to a degree with this. And also in the different products that is on offer. That is why also based on our 10-point plan agenda, we have been putting a lot of position the different USPs, the different products that they have, in order to be able to align to each other and be able to package that and sell it to the traveler that is coming. And of course, as you said, there is the issue of connectivity. There is the issue of pricing that needs to be looked at. It is of course challenging in this time, but I think if we continue to put our heads together, definitely we can come up with something very attractive that will continue to encourage visitors to our shores, so that we also not only be competitive within the continent, but we must also think that this is a global pandemic. So even other regions are now fighting for that share of the market that are able to travel. So we have to become more creative. We have to collaborate more and synergize more in order to be able to attract and remain relevant to today's visitors, that they are becoming more and more, for the lack of a better word, I wouldn't say demanding, but they are looking for the best offer that is out there and the value for money. So we need, there's a big work that needs to be done, that is ongoing. And we've had several discussions also with the CEOs of the tourism boards. We've engaged them in a closed session manner to look at how we can bounce ideas together between the various regions of Africa, and to see how we can complement each other going forward in promoting Africa as an attractive destination, tourism destination.
I do hope that complementing each other's services rather than competing head on will also be assisting in the area of standardization of service delivery, because I think one of the concerns for some of the countries might be that, look, our tourist product, we have a tourist product, our neighbors don't. We offer good quality service to the customer, our neighbors don't. So if we sell a joint package, the chances are that the final product to the customer might not meet the customer's expectation, and we might lose repeat business. So is there any effort to improve on service delivery, particularly in the African tourism sector?
I totally agree with you that this is one area where a lot more can be done. And this is one of the key areas that the members themselves have identified, because in the 10-point plan agenda, we put emphasis on capacity building, training. And if for those listening in who may have followed us in the month of May, we did a series of dialogues, but the topic was more focused on the gastronomy tourism, because this is one area where we've been putting a lot of focus recently, and we feel that in our region we've not been doing enough to promote the sumptuous food and gastronomy that we have across the continent. And one of the key points that kept coming up was having the proper training facilities in order to be able to develop the skills needed for the different jobs in the tourism sector. And of course, each and every one of us have to play our part. And here, I mean the different stakeholders as well as the member states, because if we want to create this collaboration between countries, we must ensure that across the board, we are also offering a product that is not just you come for the product itself, but the service delivery that is around that. Definitely, we need to have a stronger tourism establishment that looks at training and developing skills in the tourism sector for the Africa region. And for that matter, as I mentioned at the beginning, one key area of our priorities is also fostering education, training, and capacity building. And through the UNWTO Online Academy, we've been able to provide some basic courses that is free to our members in the tourism management module. And also we are looking to develop other training modules that could be available for our members so that they could benefit from. But there is definitely a bigger work that needs to be done in strengthening the various hotel schools in certain countries that already exist, but also having a key reference center in the region that we've had it in the past. You and me, we know, with AFRAA being based in Kenya, we often used to reference to Utali College, because at that time, a lot of us within the continent that are in the tourism sector, at one point we would have gone through this to this school because it was known then. But I believe that we still need to continue to work together in order to be able to advance this topic in the region, because it remains an area that needs to be worked on. And I definitely agree with you that it is something that that needs to be addressed.
Now, the other area of competitiveness that is very worrying and very troubling to the continent is the subject of visas for intra-African mobility. In fact, on average, an African traveling across the 55 countries would need visas for upwards of 30 of those countries. Now, how can we deal with the ease of visa access and the cost of acquiring those visas? Bearing in mind that oftentimes countries don't have embassies across all the countries, yet you are required to procure a visa before you can visit your neighbor. What can be done then?
You are right, because if you go onto our website, you will see that we also periodically publishing a publication on the visa openness report, especially for the Africa region. We see that we are a region that is still very closed when it comes to visa openness. And of course, as you know, there are a lot of elements in regards to the decisions that countries take in relation to when it comes to the aspect of security, which is very important when we talk about opening up the country and related to visa. But we are slowly seeing that countries are now moving towards making visa available online, or visa available upon arrival. Again, there it will take a lot of effort, both at the country level, but I think we have other international organizations such as ICAO that is also working with member states. And as you know, in 2019, we collaborated with ICAO as well as the government of Cabo Verde. And this is where we launched the first ministerial conference on air transport and tourism in Africa. And I must tell you that this is a point that came up very strongly in regards to visa openness and facilitation. But it remains a topic that each country has to assess and also make the relevant step in going towards digitalizing also the access of visa for those accessing the destination, because as you say, not everybody has an embassy, or sometimes we have to travel out of a country to the other before being able to finalize your visa. But as you know, this conference that we had, we concluded in a ministerial declaration, but not only that, an action plan whereby close with the different member states.
Elcia, we're not hearing you anymore.
How we can address. Hello?
Okay, I think it's back.
You still hear me?
Go ahead. Oh my. Ladies and gentlemen, my apologies. Let's just give a few seconds. I'm sure Elcia will reconnect and we continue with the discussion. In the meantime, please post your questions in the Q&A tab. I've seen one question there already. Post more questions and we will take them up shortly. Yes, Elcia, you're back. Sorry about the interruption.
Sorry, I think, yeah, I see a notification. It tells me my internet is unstable, but I'm so sorry about that. These are the challenges that we have with virtual. But yes, can you hear me or not?
Yes, we can hear you.
Sure. You can, okay. Yeah, just to pick up on the last point that you asked, I was mentioning about the conference that we had with ICAO, and where we also working closely with members to look at how we can help them in their when they are looking at really moving towards making their destination more accessible in terms of visa facilitation. But of course, we also use different opportunities to join the aviation or travel sector, where we can also continuously bring our efforts and engage each other in how to help overcome these challenges that we are facing in this regard.
Okay, good. Now on connectivity, the airlines have always said that the lack of the right level of connectivity, particularly intra-Africa, impacts traffic flow, and for that matter, tourist movement. To what extent is this a challenge as far as UNWTO is concerned?
It still remains a challenge, Raphael, because as I mentioned, this conference also gave us a clearer insight of all the things that we can see Just as a simple layman, you see the challenges sometimes for you to just fly across to your neighbor. You have probably to cut across the continent east, and today this still remains relevant, especially when we have the different programs that we do on the ground, such as the various institutional meetings, upcoming one that we will have, and you see that from north, south, west across the continent, you have challenges in being able to reach the destination. But also, as you mentioned earlier, there's not only the issue of connectivity, there's the issue also of pricing, but this takes a much bigger effort than just us tourism. That is why we keep insisting on the fact that we need to collaborate more with the different stakeholders and actors that are operating in this space in order to be able to be a little bit more accessible intra-Africa travel within the continent.
Wow. Yeah, we definitely need collaboration in this area to work together and make sure that we have a competitive industry. It's really a difficult one. But again, one of the elements. Hello? Elcia, are you hearing me?
Yes, unfortunately, my connection keeps dropping for some reason, but now I hear you.
But now I can hear you too. Great. Now, I was just saying that one of the difficulties that we have as a region is that everything in the tourism sector seems to be burdened with a tax, one tax or another, one levy or another, to the extent that you check into a hotel and it's as if you bought a hotel room forever, but that is just for a night. Now, what can we do about this over prevalence of taxes on the tourism and aviation sector?
Raphael, this is a very sensitive issue, but just to touch lightly on it, again, what I would say is that we issue when putting the different. Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello?
The line is breaking, but we can hear faintly.
Yeah, let me try to see do some. That keeps breaking.
You are okay, good.
No, I think my connection is up and down in the area where I am. That is why. Yeah, let's blame it on the weather. But going back to, as I said, it's a sensitive area, even for us, because we see in certain instances where the thought process sometimes really has to be put behind when we are especially putting the different levies or taxes on the different services that is being offered, because at the end of the day, we want to encourage the tourists to travel, but at the same time, we cannot, this sector that will help support us, we cannot kill it by putting all the heavy tax. The different countries understands the value that this sector brings. They have the right statistics. That is why we always make reference to the data to be able to address, which is still in the region, so that at least when we make the planning, we strategize and even decide to put the different taxes, we are doing it in a way that is informed, and we are not killing the sector instead of promoting it.
Thank you so much. Now, if I may just shift gears a bit to the future of this tourism industry, and looking at it from the post-COVID perspective, what is WTO's outlook for Africa region post-COVID?
As I mentioned earlier, the general outlook globally and also for us continues to evolve. How the vaccination programs does really roll out, how we are really looking at, but this sector is a sector that is very resilient, and we've seen it go on the rebound in the past. It will still do, because people will still, you will still have movement of people will still be traveling. But what we have been doing is, through the Global Crisis Committee that is headed by our Secretary General, we've been having several meetings whereby we've been able to launch the different initiatives that has been put out to help members with the recovery of the sector. And on this committee, I must tell you, it's not just UNWTO. We have other UN agencies, including WHO. We also have the private sector, both the public and the private that have been taken, has been in consultation in the tourism sector, including the air transport side of it. ICAO is also present there on this high-level committee, and they've been working tirelessly. I can tell you that only recently the committee endorsed the global guidelines to restart the tourism sector, but also in regards to the International Code of Tourists. And this has been a landmark for us, because it will help reassure tourists and also give them that extra protection as consumers. But also, Raphael, it's not only this, we go much deeper than this with the different initiatives. This on a one-to-one, if you want to put it this way, with the member states, in order to be able to tailor the support that we are giving in regards to the specificities of each country, because and we must adapt to the current situation of each one. So that's why it's more of a tailor-made recovery package that we offer to each of the various member states. And if you allow me, also collaboration that we have IATA, and that has been in regards to the monitoring tool, as we refer to it, the destination tracker. If you go also onto our website, you can easily access this, and it provides a global overview on the air travel restrictions, the health-related travel requirements, and this is in businesses, and as well as supporting the policy making. And it is, as I mentioned, a collaborative initiative of both our organizations, because we are using data provided by both parties. and as Oxford COVID government response tracker, etc., in order to be able to bring those data information to our members, to our users. And all of these initiatives that has been endorsed, that I referred to earlier, that includes all the different stakeholders working together in order to be able to help restart the recovery of the tourism sector.
So in which areas do you think African tourism stakeholders should focus their resources by way of investments so that they get themselves ready once the tourism sector kicks back into gear?
I think with the current situation, everybody has taken a step back to look at what has been, as I mentioned earlier, the economic importance as well as social that the sector brings to the economy of a country, because with COVID-19, we've all felt in some way, or areas that we see members are putting their emphasis on developing right now is, as you referred in the beginning, we don't really consider ourselves as tourists, but now with the international travelers not coming to our shores, a lot of emphasis is being put on domestic travel, on intra-regional travel. But beyond that, also looking at what are the infrastructures, because with tourism, it's a long-term investment. But more importantly, it goes back to the point that you referred to earlier, talking about the service delivery. I think this is where the focus is being put now. The emphasis is more on training, retraining also, in order to be able to, when we restart the sector, we know that the team members, staff, they are also very much up to date with what to deliver in order to better deliver to the visitors. I think if I will put emphasis here, would be more on the soft side of things, of training up with innovative ideas, innovative solutions of how to continue to promote our destination and remain relevant and attractive to the visitor.
Yeah, about a week or two ago, we were in Accra, Ghana, to attend a tourism-related capacity building event on youth and innovation. Can you tell us a bit about that event and the organizers' input?
Okay, sorry, I've just dropped my video because your technical team told me it may help with the transmission. Yes, in regards to the event that was hosted last week in Accra, Ghana, this was done in joint partnership with one of our Africa tourism partners, which is, and he has been very passionate also about helping towards the restart of and the recovery of the sector. In fact, he's been probably the only one of the key main actors in the tourism sector that has been pushing to have in a presence event, and Youth in Tourism and Innovation Summit. And it was very interesting to see all the various innovative ideas that the youth brought to this conference, and to pitch the different solutions they were offering to help with the restart and the recovery of the sector. And this is something that is very much core to the objectives and priorities of UNWTO, working with entrepreneurs, the different startups, and helping them to scale up their business, but at the same time offer mentoring as well as points. Raphael, I must say that kept on coming up when these young entrepreneurs were pitching their ideas was specifically access to finance, which we know continues to remain a challenge, especially in the tourism sector. So the idea was really to create this platform, look at opportunities with the various stakeholders that could help support our putting forward in the tourism sector to help with the recovery, but be supporting again Africa Tourism Partners as they go to Rwanda in November with the Africa Tourism Leadership Forum. And this is where again we will share the winners of the solutions that were pitched, and also be able to continue to give them the mentoring and support that they need to scale up their business.
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, at this point, allow me to go to our Q&A tab, and then we have 3 questions so far, and I'll try to summarize them, and if you can briefly just give your response to them. The first one is from Kamel, who is saying that air transport plays a very critical role in the tourism sector, but this sector has been hit hard by COVID-19, and as a result of which it has impacted the airline's ability to contribute effectively to the African Union vision of improved connectivity and integration of the region. Does UNWTO Africa have a program to support the efforts of AFRAA and the African Union as the industry recovers? What are your thoughts? Do you have a support?
Okay, we've been thinking about partnerships, about collaboration. I must tell you that UNWTO has been working very closely with the African Union, especially with the Commission. Beyond that, I am very happy to share here a memorandum of understanding to further strengthen the partnership that we have. Well, for those listening in, you could just say, I say this because you always hear that when you sign an MOU and then what happens. But I can assure you that we do give legs to the MOU that we signed with Nepal, really implementing this MOU through the activities are precisely what we expect to do going forward to continue to foster the development of connectivity as well as seamless travel in the African continent. We will be working very close. We can strengthen our partnership with AFRAA, and going forward, this is what we will be doing now that we've just signed this this agreement with you.
Congratulations on signing the MOU with AFRAA, and I'm sure AFRAA looks forward to dating the solid working relationship that it had over the years established with the UNWTO, especially the African Regional Department. Now, my next question is from Christophe, and Christophe is asking, don't you think that the challenge, the difficulty of tourism in Africa is as a result of a lack of large tour operators like TUI in Europe?
Okay, I will try to answer this question as best as I can, because I think if you look at the continent itself, a lot of countries, they are dependent on tour operators bringing clients to the destination. They are more tour operator based rather than just having the FITs. But different countries have different models, and that is why I said at the same time we have to look at the level of the tourism development per country. We cannot say one size fits all. That's why we have to look at each country separately and specifically to see what is the best solution that we can offer in regards to the development of the tourism sector. We've seen countries that have adopted the failures, they've readapted, or even more so, some now are looking towards more talking about diversification of their products, which they are adopting other models that have been used by other countries. And that is why for us, it is looking at the different practices, not only within Africa, but beyond the region, and try to adapt it to the specificities of each country. I hope to have been able to answer to Christophe's question.
I think that's good. Thanks very much for that response to Christophe's question. Now the next question, and which is the last for now, is from Zachary. And Zachary says, access to the internet is seen as a democratizer for developing nations. For tourists, ease of travel is now dependent on access to information for confidence and navigate cultures and languages for business and recreational travel. Is there any collaboration by countries to allow for free roaming and lower cost data access? This also enables the providers of services in the tourism value chain to identify opportunities and measure regional standards and customer expectations. So data interoperability, particularly in terms of mobile data and mobile communication.
Yes, definitely. I totally agree, because with COVID, we've seen also that the digital world is really the new normal. Everything that we are doing, we are operating in this space. So therefore, yes, I will agree with him that there is a need it is still one of the challenges that are faced by when we look at the number of mobile users also in the African continent. This is very high already, and we've been doing more than just that. We've been transacting, for example, with the mobile money. And I would totally agree with him that it is an area that also needs strengthening and putting more emphasis on.
Thank you so much. So that brings us to the end of our questions, unless there's anything else. It also brings us to about 5 minutes over our time, but I would crave the indulgence of our participants and our guest, Ms. Elcia, so that in 2 minutes, if you can tell us, one, if there are any UNWTO upcoming events that are open to the public and to which some of our listeners might be interested to participate in. And then secondly, you give us your final thoughts, key messages for the industry and the partners and stakeholders. Starting with the events.
Okay, for the past year since COVID, what we've been trying to do is still remain connected with our member states, and we've done several activities virtually. We've conducted several training workshops online. So I will encourage our listeners to continue to visit our website, so that they will get the information when we have other online activities happen, departments within the Unwto that organizes different training, virtual training workshops that they can participate, that is open to the public. But more importantly for us in the Africa region, institutional meetings that are upcoming, that is very important, is the 64th Regional Commission for Africa. This will be taking place in Cabo Verde, 4th of September. Of course, the first day of this event would be a closed meeting, because we are going to be talking to ministers of tourism of Africa, and this is an institutional meeting reserved only for the member states. Will be focused on investment and encourage you all to participate, if possible, where possible, to join us in physical presence, or if not, we will be making available some links to connect virtually. And the World Tourism Day on the 27th of September. And this year, it's for us, it's very important. The Africa region will be hosting the celebration of this event, and that will be in Abidjan, in Côte d'Ivoire. In fact, only yesterday, Côte d'Ivoire launched this celebration of the World Tourism Day in their own country. They have several activities that they are going to organize over a week in the build-up to the 27th of September. So for those of you who are close in the region or even in Côte d'Ivoire, just follow us once again, and you will see all the activities that we are promoting. But on the 27th of September, we will mark the World Tourism Day in Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire. And also, this year we will be celebrating the 24th session of the Unwto General Assembly. And this will be in Marrakesh, in Morocco, to, of course, inform the dates as it is confirmed. This also is a very important meeting, whereby we will be sharing the different initiatives, the results of the different initiatives. And allow me, Raphael, to just touch briefly here on the Unwto Best Tourism Village initiative that we have only recently launched, and we will be announcing the winner of this initiative in Marrakesh, as I mentioned, in Morocco. And this initiative actually, it aims at promoting tourism development, how best we can harness the power of tourism to provide an opportunity and to safeguard the communities, the local traditions, and the heritage. So we will be identifying villages that are taking innovative and transformative approaches to tourism in the rural areas. And again, as you know, all our work is focused with time too. And lastly, we talked earlier about the topic of security in tourism. So in November, we will have a ministerial conference in collaboration with UMOA on the aspect of safety and security in Dakar, Senegal. So we invite you also to join us there.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. And Elcia, now finally, your parting shots. What would be your key takeaway for all of us at this forum?
Key takeaway. Yes, thank you. I would say we should continue the collaborative efforts to continue to get all the key stakeholders together to help build better out of this crisis, but also to help so to really adhere to the health and safety protocols, to also encourage the vaccination program so that we can safely welcome the visitors to our shores. Tourism is everybody's business, so we do count on your support and collaboration to make it happen in order for us to restart our. Really thank AFRAA for giving us this platform. And also to congratulate them for having finalized this MOU that we signed. And I really look forward to some exciting activities that we can implement together to further develop the tourism and travel sector.
Thank you so much, Elcia. What a nice way to end. Tourism is everyone's business. We need collaboration and we must continue to work together. Thank you also for your time and for sharing your thoughts with us. And sorry to all our delegates for the interruption in the line, but we do hope that you have succeeded in carrying the message across, and we appreciate your time. Thank you all for joining us today, and we wish you all the best. And until we meet again on the 1st of September, when we are scheduled to host the African Union Department for Infrastructure and Energy on this program, we wish you all the best. Keep discussing about Africa, aviation, tourism, and hospitality, and let us work together to make sure we have a successful industry that is resilient beyond COVID. Thank you all and have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Raphael. Thank you all. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Jalik.
Comprises all the major intercontinental African operators, and its members represent over 85% of total international traffic carried by all African airlines. In the last 52 years, AFRAA has been instrumental in developing and articulating air transport policy issues in Africa, and is at the forefront of major initiatives in the air transport field in Africa, sensitizing airlines to take concrete actions for cooperation in operational, legal, commercial, technical, information communication technology ICT, and training fields. At AFRAA, we envision a sustainable, interconnected, and affordable air transport industry in Africa, where African airlines become key players and drivers to African economic development. AFRAA's objectives are anchored on 5 strategic pillars: safe and secure air transport in Africa, enhanced visibility, reputation, and influence of African airlines in the global aviation industry, sustainability of air transport in Africa, cooperation, and data intelligence. To meet the strategic objectives, AFRAA offers the following services: AFRAA Capacity Sharing Portal. This portal improves AFRAA member airlines' airplane exchange and enhances cooperation. It is a one-stop shop designed to meet airlines' sale, purchase, and leasing needs, thus boosting revenues and enhancing efficiency through increased aircraft utilization. AFRAA UTD MRO Project. This project helps member airlines generate revenue by selling African MRO capabilities in the US market and excess inventories of spare parts in the US market. This is also a portal to facilitate purchase or exchange of spare parts surplus amongst our members. AFRAA Flight Plan Navigation Charges Tool. This is a data intelligence tool to reduce airlines' air navigation service charges through checking and validating real operational data. AFRAA Spare Parts Pooling Project. This portal reduces airlines' fuel burn by eliminating the unnecessary carrying of aircraft spares, thus increasing the payload or revenue to airlines by replacing spare wheels with cargo. AFRAA Distribution Project. This is an AFRAA distribution system that supports transactions between airlines and travel agents at a reduced cost for member airlines, coupled with a booking engine that will allow airlines to sell their capacities and travel agents to display capacities, book, issue tickets, and generate sales reports. AFRAA Holi's Operations Management Project. This is an AFRAA initiative to help the member airlines manage operations disruptions and crises while delivering quality services to passengers. AFRAA Connectivity Portal. This is the portal for airlines to consult connectivity opportunities, passenger or cargo capacity, route profitability, and other industry-related contents. AFRAA Prodigy ATO Project. This is an AFRAA partnership with Prodigy Avia Solutions for transformational aviation capacity building to support the future growth of the African aviation industry. AFRAA Members ATO's Partnership Framework. This is an AFRAA cooperation with member airline ATOs to provide the appropriate training to better address the various training needs of the African aviation. AFRAA Consulting provides access to market-leading strategic services geared to support the industry to attain sustainable airline operations in Africa. Our expertise includes airline restructuring, technical and operations, training, safety, finance, and commercial. In addition to AFRAA services, the association has set up task forces or steering committees as the vehicle to reduce airline costs, increase their revenues, address members' common interest, and adopt industry best practices. These include Fuel Purchase Committee, Technical Operations and Training Committee, Route Network and Cargo Committee, Aeropolitical Committee, and Distribution Committee. AFRAA, Better Skies for Africa.